Shalom and welcome to our Tour for the Nations Women's Gathering. And we are coming to you from Tzfat, Israel. This is Shira Sherbow and my good friend Ester Berkowitz. And she's helping me out because I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. And we are doing a series on modesty by request. So last week you probably saw the pre-recorded part one. This is also pre-recorded. I know usually we go live, but I'm going to be out of the country for a while. So Esther has taught a class on modesty. So she's the perfect one to tell us everything she knows. It's so good. And it actually ties in with the Torah portions that we're doing now. So Esther, take it from here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Shira, for inviting me. The Torah portion, actually this incident happens at the end of last week's Torah portion, Balak. The Bilam is hired, the king Balak hires Bilam to curse the Jewish people so that he can overcome them and they will not be in his way anymore. And God keeps Bilam from cursing the people. He does not allow him to curse them, and every time that he tries to curse them, what comes out of his mouth is actually a blessing. So Bilam was a very, very smart man. He was a prophet, and he had very, very high ability. He was supposed to have the same ability as Moshe Rabbeinu, but the difference is that Bilam used it for evil instead of for good. But he was a master magician and sorcerer and just an evil guy. Mm-hmm. So since he could not curse the Jewish people, he told Balak that he knew of a way that he could have the people curse themselves. And that is to entice them to sin, so that God would be mad at them anyway, and they would basically curse themselves. Mm-hmm. So Balak followed his advice, and they had set up tents with like little stores all around the perimeter where the children of Israel were encamped, and they were selling all kinds of goods and all kinds of fancy things. Mm-hmm. And they had the Moabite women, dressed very provocatively. They were the ones that were in those tents, in those stores. And they, when the Israelite men came to the store, they would talk to them and they would entice them and offer them food and drink, and they would tell them, oh, but the really good wine I have inside. And they would entice them to go in, and by that time they were just crazy about the women. They were not thinking. So when they got them on inside, they plied them with a lot of wine, and basically they just were intimate with them, and they led them to idol worship. They took out their idols and made them bow to their idols, and at that point they were way gone. They did not care. They did whatever the woman wanted. Those were the Moabite women. They went for the commoners. Now the Midianites went for the upper class, elite, yeah. The elite. Princess Cosby was sent directly to deal with Moshe Rabbeinu, but since Moshe Rabbeinu was pretty much untouchable, this man Simri, he was the leader of the tribe of Shimon, and he took Cosby and he convinced her that he was the best she could do. Actually, he had a high position, and she wasn't going to get to Moshe Rabbeinu. So he brought her in front of Moshe and basically said, "What are you going to do about this?" So he took her into his tent and was being intimate with her. at that point, a man named Pinchas, he was Aaron's son, but he was not a Cohen because he was already born when Aaron's sons became Kohan priest. So he was not a priest at that moment, and he did not qualify. But he said, I have to do something. God has sent a plague to kill the men because of what was going on. They were really being bad news. So God said, I have to put a stop to this, and he was like killing people left and right. And so Pinchas said, I have to do something. He went to Moshe, and Moshe at that moment didn't know what to do. So Pinchas went to him and said, isn't the law that if a person is caught in the act, that you can kill them? And Moshe said, yes, that is the law. So you remember the law, you go do it. So Pinchas took a spear and went into the tent of Shimon, and with the spear, just put it through both of their bodies that were still together. And several miracles happened at that time. Nobody prevented Shimon from going in, and he had enough strength to just pick up the spear with the two bodies still on the spear, and nobody came near them.
Wow.
So as soon as he did that, everybody else was too terrified to do anything else. So God stopped the plague. So this is what happens when the women are provocative and just set out to conquer the men, and when the men themselves are not modest, and then go out and they mingle with the women, and they're just there.
Perfect storm.
Exactly. Just they're open. They think, no, I'm above and beyond all that, and that is not true. The evil inclination kicks in, and they are dead meat, as we say.
Yeah.
They're like putty in the hands of the women. So that's sadly the end of last week's parsha, and of course this week's parsha starts with Pinchas being. God made him a Kohen, even though by law he wasn't entitled to that position. God made him a priest, and that was like his reward for doing what he had to do, and that's the beginning of this week's parsha.
Okay. So it's really cool how we're talking about modesty at a time when it fits right into our Torah portion. Of course, plague is pretty relevant also.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us some of the things you taught in the class when you were a teacher.
I used to teach a class that was for the women that were undergoing the conversion process in Miami. And that was just preparing them for the conversion. And the first thing is that we talk about modesty, and actually the word modesty just means dressing modest, but the word in Hebrew is sneut, or sometimes pronounced sneus, depending on who you ask, and that Hebrew word encompasses so much more than just the dress. It encompasses the way you act, the way you talk, the way you conduct yourself, everything. It encompasses the entire person. Mm-hmm. And basically the reason why we need to be modest or snoot is that we need to cover the outside so that our inside can shine. We in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, it says that a man's wisdom makes his face shine. That's why we don't cover our faces. We dress modest, but there are other religions that cover their faces with whatever veils, and But we don't do that because we cover our bodies, but we want to show our essence. And that is one of the reasons that in a Jewish wedding, right before the chuppah, the groom goes to the bride and he covers her with a veil and says a blessing over her. And with that, he is telling her that he appreciates more her internal beauty than her outside beauty. Her looks and her charm are not that important or not as important as what's inside of her. And on a personal note, I am a convert myself, and I married a wonderful Jewish man late in life, 5 years ago. And I was really not looking forward to the veil and to having my face covered and not being able to see anything. I was terrified. But it actually turned out to be a real blessing, because being covered and not being able to see anything allowed me to focus on the inside, on the spirituality of the moment. And it allowed me to just feel, to be present, not distracted with the people and whatever was going on around. So I was very serene and very enjoying that moment until the Rebbetzin that walked me to the chuppah started crying.
No.
That was sad. I started crying too, but anyway, that's...
Wow.
And I wanted to mention that covering ourselves doesn't mean that we have to be ugly, that we have to just wear a baggy sweatshirt, whatever.
Right.
No. Our Father is the King of Kings. He is like top royalty, and we are his daughters. Each of us is a princess. We're royalty, and we should dress and we should act like the royalty that we are.
Yeah, I like
that. We should cover ourselves enough to be modest, but not frumpy, not we're royalty. Even the earthly royals have the rules and the protocols that they have to follow. If you look at Duchess Kate, before she married Prince William, she used to dress in a not sneeze way, in a not modest way, and she used to party hard, and this you can see it on the internet. It's nothing private that I'm
Right.
that I'm spreading. It's on the internet for everybody to see. But once she married the prince and she became royal, she has a whole set of rules that she needs to follow. She needs to wear pantyhose all the time. She cannot have bare legs. Her nails have to be short, and her nail polish has to be of a neutral color. And there are lots and lots and lots of rules. You can look it up online, and you'll be surprised at all the things that they, all the rules that apply to the way they look and the way they act. Everything is carefully measured. And so that shows you the evolution, how a person, because you may say, okay, I don't dress modest now, so what am I going to do? All of a sudden, get long skirts and cover myself from here to here? No, it's a gradual process, and you grow into it, and whatever you did before has nothing to do. If you just realize that what you were doing is not the way it should be. And these are not just rules for the Jewish woman. These are rules for women in general.
Yeah.
Noahites are bound by the 7 Noahide laws, and most women just follow the Bible, what is wrongly called the Old Testament, but being snoot, which encompasses everything.
Yeah,
more than being modest. you might say, okay, so why can't I just dress the way I want and say whatever I want, act whatever I want, and if the man wants to sin, that's his problem. And that is just wrong. The Bible says that you should not put a stumbling block in front of a blind man. So if you cause a man to sin, you're guilty as well. And there are several different situations. If a woman is married and she attracts a man and flirts with him and is intimate with him, that is considered adultery, which is a really bad sin for everybody. I don't care which law you follow, it's for everybody. If the man is married, you are a thief. You're committing theft, because the attention that man should give his wife, you're stealing it from that wife.
Now
he's giving.
It's like when we say do not steal, that doesn't come to your head, but that takes, thou shalt not steal to a whole new dimension.
And what I'm about to say takes it up to another higher dimension. If you flirt with a man when he's trying to pray, let's say you're in a church, a synagogue, wherever you are, and the man is trying to pray, and by the way you're dressed or the way you're acting, the man is distracted. You're stealing from God.
Whoa.
Because you're stealing the attention that should be given to God. You're stealing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So
wow. Pretty serious stuff.
Pretty serious stuff.
So, isn't she good? This is like, I'm just like eating. This is amazing. So, I think we're going to have part 3 and maybe part 4. So this is for everybody. This is universal. This is for women everywhere. You can. It is but Jews are supposed to be a light to the nations.
Right.
And so, and Noahites have joined on with the Jewish people, and it's just for all of us.
And once a woman understands that it's for her benefit, she will want to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it is protecting her. It is allowing her self-respect, and it's giving her own place, so that if she respects herself, people around her will respect her and will honor her the way she deserves. Mm-hmm. And will show that we are not just toys that the men can play with and then just throw away. And that is what happens when the man is attracted to the body instead of what's inside. And a good example of that is the story of Amnon and Tamar from the Bible. Amnon and Tamar were both children of King David, and from different mothers. Now, Tamar was a very good girl. She was very modest, and but Amnon wanted her. He said he loved her, and he wanted her so badly. So he made up this whole scheme while he was sick, and he asked her to bring her food and all that. And of course, she didn't suspect anything, so she went and to help him, and he took her by force. And after he took her, his lust was satisfied, and the Bible says, and Amnon hated Tamar. So that's and that's the Bible. This is not a story I'm making up.
Yeah,
this is the Bible. And Tamar begged him to marry her, because she would be disgraced forever. Who would marry her after being disgraced like that? And he could not even look at her. Nothing. And by doing that, he did wrong to her. Later on, Absalom ended up killing him to make up, to redeem the honor of his sister, and then somebody else killed Absalom. It was created this whole mess.
Okay,
just
so you've got like
of a lust.
You've got sexual sin, you've got stealing, now you've got murder.
Murder.
We're just kind of going through the commandments here, right?
Right.
Wow.
Most of the commandments are involved when things like this happen, and then we saw it with the in the parsha that even the men bowed to the idols. So
Idol worship.
It's idolatry. That was true idol worship. But once a man becomes so blinded that he does not think of consequences, he does not think of God, God doesn't like that, he's that's an idol. That's an idol that he's putting in front of him.
Wow.
So it's a whole lot of.
I have never thought about how modesty can lead to breaking all of these commandments in some way.
And there's another story also in the Bible that illustrates this point, and it's the story of Dinah. Dinah was the daughter of Leah and Yaakov and Jacob. And it says that the Bible says that Dinah went out to see the daughters of the land. Now, Yaakov was like a king, like a Jewish king. He was the grandson of Abraham, and he was like really up there. And she should have guarded her position, her royalty, and she did not do that. She went out to see the daughters of the land. That means mixing with the ladies there, the other girls there. And Shechem, the prince of the land, took notice of her because she was out there, and wanted her, and actually took her to his palace, was intimate with her, and basically abducted her. And then she couldn't go back to her family, and he wouldn't release her. And so two of her brothers decided to take revenge, and again created this whole scheme, and went in, rescued their sister, and killed the entire town of Shechem, entire city. So that's what not being modest leads to. It also causes the presence of God to leave a place. When people are not modest, there are several different verses in the Bible. For example, in Deuteronomy 23, it says, "For the Lord your God goes along in the midst of your camp to rescue you and to deliver your enemies before you. Therefore your camp shall be holy, so that he should not see anything unseemly among you and would turn away from you."
Wow.
It says, "Be holy, for I am holy."
Yeah.
Then in Numbers, it says, "How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel." I believe you talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Psalms, it says, "They did not destroy the peoples whom the Lord had told them to destroy, and they mingled with the nations and learned their deeds." That's why the Rambam says that we should surround ourselves with holy people, with people that have our same values, so that we are not drawn into doing things that we shouldn't. We should have a positive environment around us, so that inspires us, and we don't have to deal with the evil inclination, the temptation to do things that are not correct. And our friends usually have a big impact on us, because our friends a word from our friend can stop us from doing something
Right.
that we shouldn't do. So
We need our good friends.
we do need our good friends. Absolutely.
Is this a good place to break? And
We can break. We can just say that Tehillim 45, the entire glory of the king's daughter is within. Just remember who you are. Remember that no matter if you're a Noahide, Jewish, or whatever you follow, your father is the King of Kings. You're a daughter, and you're his daughter. You're royalty. You're a princess. So that's the way you should carry yourself. Just that should make you stand a little, a little straighter and taller, and put a smile in your face.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you feel as inspired as I feel, and that was, like we said, this is the meat. This was
meat.
Really good stuff. This is the meat, and so I think we're gonna. We thought we could get it all in one, but I don't think so. There's so much more that Esther has to share. So we'll end this here, and we'll see you next week. Shalom from Israel.